Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Fast Football and Philosophy with me, Dr. Adam Foxon.
And me, Professor Jack Cunningham.
Last episode, we discussed Diego Maradona and his very inherent evilness. We actually concluded that Diego Maradona is not evil, and neither is Thierry Henry, but that Luis Suarez probably is.
He probably is.
I think we need to apologise, Jack, actually, because we've had some correspondence in from some Liverpool fans, a Barcelona fan, and they have convinced us that Luis Suarez is not actually evil and shouldn't fuck himself. And for that, we apologise sincerely. Clearly, we bit off more than we can chew. This week, we're going to be talking about Manchester United and the middle-aged notion of corporeity, and if we can kind of combine the two, and whether or not that can tell us a little bit about Man United struggles, because they have been absolutely torrid, and that Man United fan's hair is only going to get longer.
It's getting longer by the day.
Bless him. So, Jack, can we talk about corporeity and Manchester United?
I don't think so, Adam. But let's have a go at it anyway. Let's see if we can
Standard.
Yeah, exactly. All right then. So I want to make it quite clear. This is a football and a philosophy podcast. However, today we're not talking strictly speaking about philosophy or a philosophical idea or a philosopher.
Sorry for the mess.
We're talking though about a way of thinking and a mindset. So this is all philosophy. I also want to make it clear that we're going to talk about this concept of corporeity. It wasn't a concept in the medieval period. Nobody used that word. Nobody said this is what we do. Is it? It's a modern way of describing what happened in the medieval social life. Okay, sure. So it's not historically accurate to say that this was a thing that was.
Am I being anachronistic, Jack?
A little bit. I didn't want to shame you in front of everybody. So this is what it is. We think differently to a medieval person, okay? Because we are much more individualistic, and this happens after the Reformation, when Northern Europe turns to Protestantism, and it also at the Enlightenment, when we tend to think of ourselves individually. Okay. It did not happen like that in medieval Europe. Everybody considered themselves joined much more to everybody else. So you wasn't much individual responsibility. It was group responsibility. There wasn't individual morality. There's group morality. So let's just imagine in your parish, in your church, somebody is stealing pigs. Okay, now you catch this person, and it isn't just their sin, it is yours collectively. Yeah. You've got to have ownership of that, so you've got to punish this person, and the way you want to punish them probably is where you all take part in the punishment. Put them in the stocks, and we can all throw mud at him then, and throw rocks at him, and then we can all collectively say that that's not us, that's not part of us. And the opposite happens. Somebody in our village is doing something absolutely wonderful. I don't know what the medieval equivalent would that be, but we would have ownership of that. It wouldn't just be their achievement. We would all feel really, really great about this, because that's us. It's all part of the body. Sure. That is us.
That makes sense. Is this where we get scapegoats from as well?
Oh, we do actually. Scapegoats. So this is biblical, all right. So in the Bible, a scapegoat, Yom Kippur, every year, we as a Jewish tribe would put our sins on a goat and cast it off into the desert, where it would die with our sins.
Happy days.
Happy days. That's the scapegoat, taking away our sins. So there's a collective. Yeah. And don't forget, in the Bible, how do they punish? What's capital punishment? We all get a rock and we all kill that person, because we want to make absolutely sure with the big fella, we collectively don't. This is not us. This is not us. If we don't do that, then we are saying, well, we own it. We own it. This person is a bad person, and we're happy with that, and so we're all bad as well. So this is corporeity, this idea of that we are not individually. So in Northern Europe, we don't do that. If somebody down my road gets caught doing some appalling things, selling drugs to children, or not, I'm not beating myself up at night thinking, oh my God, that was my neighborhood, that's me. I just thought that was him. Like, nothing to do with me. That was absolutely, and again, if somebody down my road wins the Nobel Prize for literature, it's nothing to do with me. I might feel pleased, but I will feel pleased for them. Not for me. I
Yeah.
don't bask in the glow of that glory because it's not mine. It
Try as you might.
try as I might, try as I won't get away with it. However, I will say this. I might get away with it in southern European countries because they didn't have a reformation and they've kept corporeity more than we have. And not exactly medieval levels, but more than we have. And we have a mutual friend, don't we, who got his PhD. Angelo went back to his village in Italy. There was a collective sense in that village that we've got a PhD, we've become a doctor. He goes out that night and he has a meal and they're loading his plate up because he's just got a doctorate. He's stuffed when he comes out that restaurant, but he's got to go to the other restaurant in town because he's going to do the same there because this is all part of...
You know, the Italian vicar of Dibley.
He is the Italian
Dog friend.
He's got to do it because he did not individually get a PhD. He got it for the body. And I think I told you an interesting story as well once that I played a little bit of rugby at university. And I'm lining up before the game and I'm walking up very close to the halfway line to the person that I'm marking, this Italian guy, and he calls me over and he says to me, "Last night I had sex with your sister." Now, because he does corporeity more than me, he would have thought I will get genuinely angry about that and I would be appalled because, you know, we've got this notion of corporeity. But I was just like, oh my God, that's amazing, mate. What are the chances? What are the chances? Now here we are playing rugby. So I think he was confused about that, when I clapped him on the back and congratulated him. So that's corporeity for you. It exists in Southern Europe more than and it exists in Catholic countries more than in Protestant countries because of the Reformation.
That makes sense. It still does permeate to us though, and kind of commonsensically, or just commonly all the time, we say things like it takes a village to raise a kid, and all these kinds of things, and it's very kind of collective and communal and all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
That's all well and good, Jack, and thank you for the history lesson. But also, how on earth does that relate to football?
Yeah, well, one of the secrets of football success, in my humble opinion, is this: it is one of the only places in a modern world, in a capitalist society, where corporeity exists quite strongly. Okay, now we know that because you don't if you saw someone coming from the football match and you said to them, "How did you get on today?" You use that word, don't you? The second person plural. How did you get on? You don't say, "How did your team get on today?" And equally, they won't say to you, "Oh, my team won today." They'll say, "We won," or "We lost," or "We were terrible," "We were brilliant." It's we, because he's on the terraces, he hasn't touched the ball. But it's that whatever happens, the success or the failure, he's part of that. And that's why we like football so much, because we don't get it in our world now. We don't get it really when we go about our business, when we go to work, when we walk down the road. We don't tend to have that, especially if we don't live in a rural community.
So this makes a lot of sense then, because I mean, football, in terms of fandom anyway, football clubs talk about the 12th man, and this idea that you're not on the pitch, but you can absolutely influence what happens on the pitch through all your singing and your support of the team and getting behind them, and that's why we have, the yellow wall at Dortmund, and we have all this kind of really kind of, and Celtic fans have all their tifos, and they're kind of really naughtily kind of political, and it's all very much in support of their team and their ethos and what makes them who they think they are, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. You see that clearly at Celtic. That Celtic aren't just saying our football team's great. There's all kinds of things that are wrapped around that Irishness, the Catholic thing, the anti-royal that's going on with them. So that's them. And it's much more than the team in green and white in front of them.
In Barcelona, and I'm not sure about their kind of religious stuff in Catalonia, but their entire motto is more than a club.
Yeah.
Because they are more than a club. There's this very kind of collective ideal of who we are and what we stand for and what we represent.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important to maintain. And so I've done some research on the relationship between football and religion. And Mark Juergensmeyer, he talks about this idea of a cosmic war. And cosmic war, and I'm not saying that kind of that football is a real cosmic war. I would never say that, because it's clearly not. But there are lots of elements in it whereby a cosmic war has to be something that affirms your identity. It has to give you another. And we talk all the time, we're currently in Lincoln, and our biggest rivals here are Grimsby, and they're the Codheads, and we hate them, and we hate them because they're the Codheads, and not and because they're not us, and all these kind of things. And it's all very silly, but actually, there is something there that's quite cosmic, and there's something there that's quite compelling. But again, it affirms who I am and the person next to me, and our kind of communal identity, if you like.
Yeah. I would, and Pascal said if God didn't exist, it would be necessary to invent God. Well, that's only half the story. Once you've invented your God, you've got to invent the devil as well. You've got to love, what you've done, that's very, very important, but you've got to hate as well, So even if you have to go all the way to Grimsby, which is 50 miles away to find your devil, I mean, they're not on our doorstep. It says you have to look around and do that, because you cannot just have God, you've got to have the devil.
That's really interesting. So, I mean, talking about the actual devil to the Red Devils.
Yeah.
This could actually potentially kind of explain why Fred the Red's men are doing so badly, and it's because they're not really at the minute. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has come in of Ineos fame, and he is absolutely decimating what we could call the corporeity of Manchester United. He's sacking all the dinner ladies, and he's sacking everyone left, right, centre just to make cuts, and then they go out and spend £300 million on new players. Do you think that actually has an impact on people?
Oh, I do. I absolutely do. It's like the butterfly flapping its wings, isn't it? That dinner lady who was just the woman you get your tea off in the morning, absolutely lovely, and a Manchester United player gets their tea, and it's nice. She makes lovely tea, and she's so warm, and that's the start of your day. Now, it isn't totally implausible to think that this same player has to go to a machine now, and it's terrible tea, and this could have a knock-on effect. They're in a bad mood already. They don't play well, and it's all traced back to the quality of the tea and the tea lady's lovely smile.
And we know that recently, Kath, the famous receptionist / tea lady at Carrington, their training ground, she passed away last year in 2024, and the outpouring of from fans and from players has been immense.
Totally, yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's so easy to underestimate the importance of these people, but you only have to look at the accolades she got from players and ex-players, and you think, oh wow, that's an important cog. That's an important cog in the machine. Yeah, don't mess with it.
There was that other one, that Ness or whatever her name was, and she's referred to in media as an award-winning tea lady. Yeah. That's important, we're winning tea lady. And they're not the only people in the backroom staff that are really important. If you listen to any kind of ex-players talking about their time in the game, they'll say that kind of the soul of the football club rests in the physio room. That's where you're talking to everyone. That's where you're having a laugh and joke. That's where you're hearing that's where you're hearing the stories from ex-pros while they're getting treatment and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The kit man's there, and you're playing tricks on the kit man. He's just like a long-suffering fool, played the game 50 years ago kind of thing.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff really matters, and it actually does matter on the pitch itself.
Yeah.
One of my favourite stories is, and again, it comes down to kind of being able to lift the mood. So if you have a bad loss, and you get on the team coach and you're going back and everyone's really sad, and then someone says, "Have I told you about the time when?"
Yeah.
And you go, "Oh," and then it gets everyone laughing again. Everyone's, "Oh, we can put it behind us and we can move on again."
Yeah.
And Chelsea's goalkeeper coach, I can't remember his name now. He was really famous for being a great storyteller, right? Have I ever told you the story?
No.
So he's famous for the jokes he tells, right? And I'm pretty sure he was on Chelsea TV. It's gone really viral. And this kind of social media person, she kind of goes up to him and she goes, "Oh, tell us a joke." He's like, "Okay." Let me think. He's like, "Okay, I've got one." He says, Petr Cech, who was their goalkeeper at the time, he's probably the world's best goalkeeper at the time. He's walking down the road and he's looking around and he sees this fire in this block of flats. He's going, "Oh my God, there's a fire." He runs over and there's a lady there just holding a baby like this. She's going, my baby, I want to save my baby." And he's going, "Drop your baby, throw it to me, I'll catch it." She's going, "Oh, I'm not sure, it's quite far." He's going, "Don't worry, duck. I I'm Petr Cech. I am Chelsea's #1 goalkeeper. I will catch your baby. She's going, oh, I'm not sure. I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm not sure. He's going, listen, I've won the Champions League. I am an unbelievable goalkeeper. I can tell you now that I will save your baby. So she goes, all right. And she throws the baby, right? And he's given her all this and he's running down the road and he's trying to catch. And then he dives and he catches the baby and the baby's safe. And then he bounces it on the street and kicks it off the road. But obviously, as he's telling this story, he's the most animated man in the world, right? And it's just the funniest thing, and you can see how that would lift a spirit. And you can see how that would kind of get people around.
Oh, totally. And if you want evidence of this, if you've ever been to watch your team, and you ended up for some reason or other in the wrong end of the stadium. Your team could win 4-0 that day, but you're walking out of there and you just haven't got it. Yeah, it's so frustrating because you needed to be surrounded by the body, the corporeity. That was your team. And it doesn't work if you're in the wrong end of the ground. And it's not just for the fact that you can't just leap up and down and stuff. It's this that's around us that feeds into us and we feed off. And it only works if you're with your people.
And that, again, that rings so true. If you look at kind of all our World Cup campaigns, when the nation stops when England are at a World Cup, and you're in a pub, it's not the same when you're at home and you watch it on TV
or abroad.
It's just not the same. When you're there in a pub and you've got all the English around you, and when we inevitably go out in the semi-final. There's nothing better than that moment in celebrating with all your fellows. There's nothing better than that.
Oh, absolutely. So the corporeity is an intrinsic part of football. And if anybody doesn't recognise that, like what's happening at Manchester United, I think then you're in trouble.
So actually, on the flip side, if you do corporeity really, really well, chances are you're going to do well on the pitch. And again, we have evidence of that. I mean, we have, if you think about total football, and that kind of Dutch way of playing. I know that the Dutch aren't necessarily Catholic, but I mean, total football is this idea that you buy into the person next to you, that you work as hard for yourself as you do for the person next to you. It's a very kind of corporeal notion, if you like, of football, of playing football, and that you sacrifice for the man next to you. It did really well.
It's tactical corporeity.
That's what we should call it. That's it. That could be the title of the episode. Tactical corporeity. I like it. Actually, then, Jack, if that's the case, then we could make, and this might be a little bit controversial, folks. I apologise. We could suggest then that a Catholic team will win the World Cup next year.
It's probable because they do corporeity better than Protestant,
and they work harder for their team.
And their supporters are much more of a body than.
Oh, be careful! You don't say that better. Actually, we did a little bit of research on this, and so we can see here on my screen here that 7 of the bookies' top 10 favourites for the competition are Catholic. We have Spain, we have France, we've got Brazil, Argentina, Portugal, Italy, and Uruguay.
Yeah. Martin Luther was the biggest enemy of football in Northern European countries. You should have burnt him at the stake.
Oh dear. So, on that note, we will leave it there, actually. And what are we going to talk about next week? Have we decided what we're going to talk about next week?
I don't know whether we decided, did we? Yeah, we'll think of something.
We're going to dig deep and we're going to think of something actually philosophical to talk about.
Yes, more philosophy next time.
But nevertheless, thank you very much for listening to Fast Football and Philosophy. I am, again, Dr. Adam Foxon.
And I am Professor Jack Cunningham.
And it's a bye from me.
And it's a bye from me.
Bye.
Bye now.